Welcome back to Frugalman Outdoors. Today we're going to install an antenna. We picked up this antenna at Walmart, and in hopes of eliminating some of our cost of getting ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, all those little networks that you pay for on the side, and we try to shut that down to where we don't have to pay for those anymore, and we're going to use a regular antenna. Like I said, we picked this up at Walmart, and we'll install this, and hopefully it'll do a lot better. I'm going to show you how I'm going to go install this. Right here we have an old pole from an antenna, or excuse me, a satellite, that we decided we didn't want the satellite, but they left the pole and the concrete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize that and extend the pole up above the roof edge with another pipe, and then mount the antenna to it. That way I don't have to mount it to the side of the house. Now this pole has the wire still on it that leads into the house. It goes underground and then goes inside the house. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut that zip tie loose, let it hang a little bit, and I'm going to add a pole here that's slightly smaller than the one that's here. So we're going to put it inside there, and I'm going to use this PVC piece of junk that I have left over from other projects. I'm going to set it inside of this pole, so that pole, when I put it inside, it doesn't go all the way down. I'm just going to put it about 12 inches from the top of the plastic to the top of this pole. That way I have those 12 inches of secure. And then I'm going to cut a couple holes in there, put some bolts in, run my wire up the pipe, and then install the antenna. So follow me along. Of course, Dorian has to join me with everything I do outside. He's sitting in the shade. It is very hot, so I'm going to set you up in the shade here, and we're going to go over the things that I'm going to do. Now I'm just shooting from the hip here. I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm going to need, so I got a little bit of everything. I got pliers, vice grips, pair of cutters, a saw, drill bit, just miscellaneous stuff. We'll take a look and see what we're going to need. Of course, I have a drill and a saw. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up this box and see what's in it. The instructions here. And here's the quick setup instructions. Shows you where to put stuff together. It is pretty much self-explanatory. And if you're going to do this, go ahead and read instructions if you haven't done it before, but I've done these before, so it's pretty easy. Always keep them handy in case you run into a problem. That way you can always double check. Of course, we have the dish, or the antenna. And then a couple of rods that go out from the antenna. They get installed to the sides. And we have a cable. And of course we have some more hardware that goes along with it. So we'll set that aside, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the pole up high enough to where the antenna is above the roof line. Right about there. And I have a little saw. It'll be easier than trying to do it by hand. Okay, now while I have this out, I'm going to make a couple of slices up the pipe. That way I can use it for shims if I need it. I think I'm going to need it. Now what we have are some shims that can go between the metal pipe on the bottom and the new metal pipe on top, because like I said, the top one is smaller than the bottom one. Set those aside, and now we'll set that in there right there. Slide it down in. Ooh, that pipe is a little warm. I'm gonna set this over in the shade a minute, let it cool off, because that's hot on the hands. Let's tap this down a little. Be right back, and we'll go get a hammer. Now I have a chunk of wood and a hammer. I'm gonna drive this down until it hits the bottom. There you go. It's hitting dirt or concrete, whatever's in there. That's down about right here. So now I'm going to remove the zip tie here. I think I'll just, cut the zip tie off. Now I have area here where I could drill holes. So when I put that pipe inside of this one, I'll drill holes and put bolts in so it doesn't move around. You notice here we have that space between the two pipes. That's where I'm gonna put my shims. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a couple shims in here to center it, and then I'm gonna drill a couple holes. The shims that I cut. That centers the pipe. And now I'll slide that down like that. I'm probably gonna have to drill this twice, because when I take this pipe out in order to install the antenna at the top, that way I don't have to climb a tall ladder, I'll have to re-drill through the plastic. But for now, this is what's holding it in place so I can drill the holes. Okay, now when I drill these holes, I'm gonna drill 2 holes, one this direction and one this direction. That way it'll keep the pipe from wobbling either direction. I'll make sure the holes are big enough. I have a couple of old carriage bolts I've had laying around. Okay. That's a little tight, but I'd rather have it hold nice and tight instead of being loose and wobbling around. So now I'm going to go down about 4 inches and drill this direction. Now I'll take this bolt out so I can take the top pipe out in order to mount the antenna. I'm having trouble reaching those. Okay, I accidentally dropped those down in there, and they're below these holes. My fingers aren't long enough, of course, and I don't have long handle needle nose pliers. So I have a piece of stick and some double-sided sticky tape. I'm gonna wrap the tape around there and reach down there and grab them. There's one. And there's the other. That's pretty simple. Okay, now that we're down here in the shade, I have the pipe cooled off because it was hot again from being in the sun. We're going to mount the dish, the antenna to the pipe. Now it shows that this is the face, and this little resistor or box on the back is the back of it, and we want to point that a certain direction. So I'm actually going to make this a little bit loose so I could twist it around to line it up the way I need to before I tighten it down. I'm going to get the hardware out. Okay. Different types of mounting brackets. This one here looks like it's for the mounting to the wall. And this one here is the clips and U-bolts for mounting it to a pipe, and of course this is the one we're going to use. And then here's the bracket for mounting. It's pretty easy. U-bolts go through it like this. Put the pipe on there and then clamp it down, bolt it down. So that's what we're going to do. It's very simple. The nuts have lock washers already on them, or star washers, whatever you want to call them. They're actually made in one piece. That's easy. Put those on there. Now, if you want to avoid having wasps and stuff, you might want to try to find something that's stuffed down inside here. Pool noodles work real good, and then maybe a little bit of caulking, or if you actually have caps for these, that's good too. Oops. I could have got a ratchet with the right size, but I didn't know what size it was, so I just grabbed the pliers and vice grips and stuff. So now we're just going to tighten it down. Now I don't want to tighten it down too much because this is plastic, it may break it, but you want it tight enough to where it's not going to move around. There we go. I can move it around now. And we have a screw that bolts through here that mounts the antenna to the bracket, which is right here. Very easy assembly. And you know what? I did not get a screwdriver. So I'm going to have to grab a Phillips screwdriver as soon as I get this set down. Okay. Be right back. Okay, I'm back with the screwdriver. What we're going to do is we're going to make this nice and straight and then tighten it down. Like I said, this stuff is plastic, so be careful not to over tighten it. You don't want to strip it or break it. Good and snug, and it's not going to go anywhere. It moves around a little bit because it is plastic. Okay, now we have, where's the rods? I took them out. There they are. Now, in the instructions, it shows that the long rods are on the top and the short rods are on the bottom. On the end here, there's two holes, and I put the long one on the top hole, and they screw in place, snug them down, and then the short one goes in the bottom hole. And repeat the process on the other side. There we go. Now we're going to set this pole inside the other pole and put the bolts in. Now before I set this pole inside this one, I'm going to take the cable and attach it to the antenna. Just a simple coax, slide in place and screw it down tight. There we go. Coax in the back here. Don't want to make it too tight but I want to make it tight to where it's not going to vibrate loose or collect moisture. This will move around when the wind blows, so. That's tight enough. Okay, now we're going to set it up inside there. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see it at the very top here. Looks like I'm going to have to turn that antenna that way just a little bit, so I'm going to pull it back down and turn it. And then we'll check it again. That was a little bit too much. We'll bring it back half the distance. Okay, that looks perfect. Okay, that looks real good. So what we're going to do is we're going to install the shims and then put the bolts in. Well, one of those shims is in the way of the hole, so now I have to drill through the shim. Okay, now we'll tighten those down. Okay, now the only movement is from the pipe itself. That's good and tight. So now we'll take the slack out of this cable, pull it back up underneath the house, and it's installed. We'll hook it up to the back of the TV and we'll get our free stations, ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. Okay, for those of you who were paying attention, I forgot to tighten the bolts on the top of that antenna before I set it all up there. So luckily, I have a ladder tall enough to where I can reach that. If I didn't have a ladder, I'd have to take it all back down. So double check things before you assemble them, because sometimes you can make mistakes. Happens to the best of us. This is how you eliminate paying for ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. You could also get PBS and a few other stations too, but those are the main networks we were looking for. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. Thanks for watching. See you next time.